right, Matt. Our first of 2 title fights on our UFC 249 card coming at us live from Jacksonville, Florida, May 9th. And Matt, this is a fight that could cement GOAT status. Maybe. Could it? I don't know. Because we have the greatest of all time at 135 pounds, Dominick Cruz, coming back off of a long layoff to take on the double champ, now single champ, Henry Cejudo, for bantamweight gold. I'm going to start the 5-minute timer, Matt, because I am, of course, our Fight Night Picks Pick'em champion for 2019 and currently sitting above, on top, on the board between the two of us for 2020. Matt, this is a fight that I'm really excited about because stylistically, if both of these fighters were in their primes, this could be an insane fight. It's just a fear of the unknown. We don't know what we're going to get from Dominick Cruz. I mean, the last time we saw him out was in 2016 against Cody Garbrandt, who at the time was undefeated, and he threw a perfect game against Dominick Cruz at the time. I mean, Cody Garbrandt was on a huge heater.
Now, just 1 second. For any new fans out there was this guy named Cody Garbrandt, and before he started getting knocked out all the time, he was actually really, really good. And Dominick Cruz talked circles around him, and everyone assumed Dominick Cruz is going to beat the brakes off that poor young man, and it was the exact opposite. Cody Garbrandt put on a masterclass. Continue.
And I mean, at 135 pounds, you can talk about greatest of all time. You can throw out names like Uriah Faber, TJ Dillashaw, Renan Barao, but Dominick Cruz leads the pack. I mean, this is a guy who has an insane record at 22-2. The 2 losses, one to Uriah Faber when he was 9-0 going into the fight, and then one to Cody Garbrandt when he was on a 13-fight win streak. And these aren't over just like run-of-the-mill title challengers. Like, you can make an argument at 125 pounds that Demetrious Johnson didn't take on the best of the best. Dominick Cruz has wins over Faber, when he fought him again, twice. Joseph Benavidez, twice. Demetrious Johnson, and TJ Dillashaw. So some of the best guys in that class at 135 pounds. And I know Benavidez and Mighty Mouse obviously found a lot of success at 125 pounds.
Here's the thing, though. The only reason they made 125 pounds a weight class was because no one could compete with Dominick Cruz. Like, he was so good at 135 that they had to do the Valentina Shevchenko with Demetrious Johnson. It was like, okay, Amanda Nunes is so good, we'll just give you your own division. That's what they had to do with DJ. And I really like what you brought up about their primes. But it's really interesting to me because we don't know, A, if Dominick Cruz has ever really had a prime or if he was sort of robbed from him due to injuries, or if he comes back, even if he's at 90%, could 90% of a perfect Dominick Cruz beat Henry Cejudo? And the thing I'm most curious about, and I'd love to get your opinion on it, Henry Cejudo, the way he beats people is kind of the way Dominick Cruz not only beats people, but embarrasses people. If Henry is going to try to strike with him with that newfound karate style, if you will, I don't think that karate style is refined enough to really catch Dominick Cruz a lot.
And that's the thing where it gets really interesting because both of these guys come from wrestling backgrounds. I mean, Henry Cejudo, gold medalist, Olympian, what have you, and really translated into kind of like the wrestle kickboxer, if you will. And like you said, a karate stance, kind of heavy, wide open, but he can really land a lot of different shots and switch between his stance as well. What's Dominick Cruz known for? Came from a wrestling background, became one of the best kickboxers at 135-pound division. I mean, his boxing's crisp, but he can really throw the kicks, the different stances, the wonkiness. That was always the thing. He was so elusive, and you could never really Ben Rothwell of old, not Ben Rothwell of current. But still, with Dominick Cruz, he was really exposed in that Cody Garbrandt fight, and we haven't seen him since December of 2016, so we don't really know what we're going to get. The other thing that really plays a factor in this fight is the fact that Dominick Cruz is coming off of a layoff where he's had a lot of injuries he's had to overcome. But with Henry Cejudo, we haven't seen him since June of last year, where he's coming off of shoulder surgery from his fight against Marlon Moraes, where he was able to win the belt at 135 pounds. Before that, we're talking, he had his fight against Demetrious Johnson where he lost. Then he lost to Joseph Benavidez. Then again, we're talking heaters, went on a huge heater. And you could say, the Wilson Hayes fight wasn't that big, whatever.
Pettis was huge.
Sergio Pettis was huge. Then he beats Demetrious Johnson. Then he beats TJ Dillashaw, whatever. Boy. But at 125 pounds where he's depleted. But then he really showed his true colors to me when he beat Marlon Moraes in such emphatic fashion.
And this is where... No, I agree with you. He beat Marlon Moraes because Marlon gave up. He didn't beat Marlon Moraes because he beat him due to skill. He beat him because he wore him down to a certain point, and you could tell Marlon in between rounds was a changed man. You can't do that to Dominick Cruz. No, because in between rounds, just Maryland was beating the brakes off him for 2 rounds and then hit a wall where he got exhausted, and then Henry was able to sort of grind him out and then beat the brakes off him in the third. Dominick Cruz isn't going to get tired in the way that Maryland was. Maryland has more muscle than I think anyone in the world does, much less at 120 or 135 pounds. He's built pretty much like Francis Ngannou. It's a style that's going to make him get tired. I don't know if Henry Cejudo is going to be able to do that kind of grind style, wear out Dominick Cruz to the point where Dominick Cruz is going to be so depleted in his skill set that Henry's going to take over. That's the only thing that concerns me about this fight, and that's why I really can't give you a solid, I really think Henry Cejudo is going to win, or I really think Dominick Cruz is going to win.
And it's weird because opening line and the movement that we've seen right now, Henry Cejudo is sitting at a minus 230 favorite, Dominick Cruz at a plus 190. And again, it's kind of the unknown. What are we going to get? And over on Tapology, at a 676 votes, 58% of fans going with Henry Cejudo, 67% predicting a decision. So everybody's kind of on the fence on this fight, and I totally agree with it because, again, you have the greatest of all time in Dominick Cruz. You have the guy that cemented his legacy by becoming double champion at 125 pounds, 135 pounds. And for Cejudo to get a really good win over Moraes, and then it's, well, he's going to get Jose Aldo. Or is he going to get Aljamain Sterling or Corey Sandhagen? Piotr Jan. And now all of a sudden he's getting Dominick Cruz. You don't know what you're going to get out of Cruz. You really don't know what you're going to get out of Cejudo off of a major injury, rehab, and now all this time later for him as well. It's a really weird fight.
So Henry Cejudo had, and I hate to keep on bringing basketball, but it's just the only other sport that I follow other than MMA, but there's a guy named Paul George who was an MVP caliber player, had double shoulder surgery, and it took him a very long time to kind of get back into that form. He's still not in that form right now, and this is a guy who finished like third in MVP voting last year. Henry Cejudo had a very similar procedure to Paul George, and of course, we're talking about world-class class athletes. Like, they recover better than Craig or I would. It's just, rust for something like that shows itself a little bit differently than rust for a broken arm. You can break your arm, come back, and just be fine. Like, you're not really at a risk to re-break it in the same place. You're fine. You just have to rehab it and make sure it heals the right way. With shoulders, it's always kind of the risk of the unknown. Same thing, like you had mentioned with Cruz. And that's why I was going to say this might be the first time in FNP history where I can't give you a pick, but no, we're not going to do that. I'm going to say Dominick Cruz is going to win this fight. I don't like the fact that I just said that openly on the internet, but now I have to defend the point since I said it. I think the size of Cruz is going to play a big problem with the wrestling of Cejudo. Cejudo, I think, will shoot for quite a few takedowns because Dominick Cruz is going to get him frustrated on the feet, I think. I do think Cejudo is going to start missing a little bit because he doesn't have the speed factor that Garbrandt had. The reason Garbrandt did so well against Dominick Cruz was he's so fast, his hands are, and Cruz doesn't really have the power to put a guy like Garbrandt down, and that's what you have to do to beat a guy like him. Henry Cejudo, you can outpoint him. Joseph Benavidez was able to do it, and other guys have had pretty good success with just standing on the feet with him. I think if Cejudo goes for takedowns, he's not going to get them. I think Cruz is going to frustrate him. And I think by round 3, 4, and 5, Dominick Cruz is going to start to pull away with this fight.
I really think that Henry Cejudo is going to be able to get the win. I do. I mean, with Dominick Cruz, it's weird because he was in limbo as well. Was he going to fight on the UFC San Diego card? And of course, he's been an Alliance guy forever, so it's kind of like a hometown fight. He was, rumored to be taking on Corey Sandhagen. Now, all of a sudden, you're in a 5-round main event, which he's no stranger to, but it's been a long time since he's fought in a 5-round main event. And for Henry Cejudo, it's been a fair amount of 5-round fights. I mean, he's had 3 in a row. But again, it's been a while since we've seen him too. This is one of the least confident picks that I've had in a while.
I was going to say, no matter who you pick, I can't disagree with you.
No, I mean, you're flipping a coin at this point. I'd really like to know what you guys, the fans, are thinking about this one because everybody's split. The odds makers are favoring Cejudo, but I think the odds are maybe a little bit closer than I would have expected them.
Honestly, and I'm glad that you said that. I think they're kind of perfect, just considered all the variables around this fight. I know we kind of give odds makers a hard time sometimes, but to have Henry Cejudo as a 2-1 favorite or around there for
he's almost just over 2-1
for the GOAT coming back, they're fairly justifiable. Here's the thing that you need to watch out for, and I'm glad you brought up cardio with Dominick Cruz. If Joe Rogan does commentary, he's going to keep on saying something about Dominick Cruz, and it's not true. Dominick Cruz, when he resets the position, he goes, because that's his way, like, mentally. It's like, okay, now I can restart kind of my attack, if you will. Every time he does that, Joe Rogan goes, I don't like how those big deep breaths to Dominick Cruz. He's not tired, so just watch out for that. That's such a pet peeve of mine. It's not even funny.
I'm going to take Henry Cejudo in this one. Another wild thing is the fact that Cejudo's 33 years old. Dominick Cruz is only 35, but we've seen it with certain fighters like Pettis and Cerrone. They've got a lot of miles on that odometer. Dominick Cruz is one of those guys. But again, it's the fear of the unknown. What are we going to get? I see a path to victory for Cejudo. If he can set things up with even the feints to go down for takedowns and land certain shots here and there, pot here and there, I think Cejudo is going to have an easy path to victory, an easier path to victory.
I think it's a phenomenal fight, though. I know like Henry Cejudo's 2 fights where they're gonna be Jose Aldo or Dominick Cruz, and let's be honest, neither guy deserves the title shot. But it's not like you're not gonna watch the fight because they're in there. Like they're very compelling matchups nonetheless, and I think Dominick Cruz is going to make a good account of himself, win or lose.
What other sports are you going to watch on May the 9th at night? Not a whole lot out there unless you're following MMA in Belarus or soccer or whatever, but we're really excited for it. Make sure you check out the rest of our predictions for UFC 249. 2 minutes for the main card, 2 minutes for the prelims, and 5 minutes for this co-main that we just covered, which we went way over time, and 5 minutes for our main event, and it's a great fight between Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. So make sure you check those out. Matt, as we always say with Fight Night Picks, let's get into it.